So we're now on to our last panel discussion, and the topic is future-proofing through technology. And we want to now delve into the intersection of technology against real estates and explore areas like how the integration of smart building technologies and sustainable practices can enhance the value of long-term viability of real estate assets, and also how investors could leverage on technology to adapt to the changing market dynamics and capitalize on emerging trends in the industry. The moderator for this panel is Shai Greenberg, Senior Director, Co-Lead International, Japan Capital Markets, JLL. And the panelists are Bernie Devine, Senior Regional Director, Asia Pacific, Yardi, Kate Lowe, VP, Head of Development, APAC, Blueground, and Jack Lin, President, Miotech.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to panel discussion 4, Future-Proofing Through Technology. And thank you, everyone, for staying all the way through to the last panel. My name is Shai Greenberg. I'm the moderator, and I'm the co-lead of the international team at Capital Markets at JLL Japan. And I have a bit of a confession. I was a bit uncertain when I was offered this role to moderate the panel, because my role is as offline as possible. I mostly cover institutional investors and brokerage, and this is as relationship driven and as offline as it can be. But then I remembered a few years back, the CEO of JLL went in front of the board and the world and told everyone that JLL is going to become a tech firm, and we are on the journey to become a tech firm. And so also my curiosity took over, and when I saw the panelists, I was also assured that I'm in good hands, despite the fact that I might not be a tech guy as my attire suggests. I'm sure we're going to have a very interesting and fruitful panel today. And JLL is not quite a tech firm, or at least I don't feel it is. Hence my white collar and jacket. But I think I can confidently say that we are tech driven. There's a lot of innovation that is embedded into the firm in the way we generate leads, track transactions, a lot of different databases that has been siloed in different parts of the business that are now merged or being merged, and we can enjoy the benefit of these immense information. And going forward, I think this will only continue. So for sure, even for people like me, this is more than relevant. This is essential, I think. So with that said, I would like to go to the panel and have them each introduce themselves. If you don't mind, I will go based on the what I see on my screen. So Bernie, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, Shay, thank you. And apologies if there's a little delay to my video. I'm in a hotel somewhere in Germany, so such is life. But doing my best to help Apria show the industry what can be done. And in terms of introduction, I think I'd keep it simple and say, for one, I lead Yardi's business across APAC, and we're focused on automating process and helping real estate companies find value. And for me personally, that's 40 years of messing around in real estate and tech. I've held real estate jobs, I've held tech jobs, and just really enjoying the opportunity to help real estate companies find better value by leveraging technology.
Thank you. Very relevant to the panel today. Can we move on to Kate?
Well, thanks, Shai. Yeah. So hi, I'm Kate, VP, Head of Development for APAC in Blueground. So BlueGround is a global prop tech company which provides fully furnished apartments across the globe. What we aim to do is to use technology to revolutionize the whole real estate rental landscape and help to provide tenants and landlord in the way of solving the existing issues and of course providing all the return that is possible through digital transformation to our partners. So we have been growing in Europe and the States for the past 10 years, and we see the growing need of having such change in also APAC. So we started operations in Singapore and Hong Kong last year. So happy to be on this panel and look forward to sharing more on how BlueGround can help maybe potential partners in maximizing their incomes for their real estate assets.
Thank you. Yeah, very interesting, very tech-dependent kind of like business model that I'm keen to explore through the panel. Jack, last but not least.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Shai. Thank you. I am Jack Lin. I'm president of Neotech. So we are a tech company, despite the way I'm dressed. We are Asia's leading ESG data and technology company. So across all the various industries, including real estate and across the capital markets, the trend of sustainability and ESG, how do you incorporate these considerations into which assets do you hold, which assets do you invest in? How do you get assets financed? These are all critical questions to be solved with data. And so we leverage on our AI model to gather the relevant data and construct the relevant structure and models to help enable that process. So we're very happy to be a part of Apria and to bring our experience to bear on this question of applying technology to real estate. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think this is very relevant, and it came up in previous panels today as well as the ESG theme and how tech can help with facilitating that. So to kick off the panel, I'd like to set the stage, and because I know that we have viewers and listeners that come from diverse backgrounds, a lot of them from more traditional real estate industries. So I'd like to go around and just to understand from you, because you're all in tech, but in different kind of like parts of the tech universe. What is the current state of tech, real estate, prop tech, whatever the terminology you would use in APAC, and where we are right now in that respect? So maybe I'll go in reverse order and start with you, Jack.
Sure. Again, we are trying to solve the question of bringing technology to bear to help implement and enhance the sustainability credentials of asset owners and individual properties. So real estate is obviously a major asset class. It's also one of the major economic activities in our modern economy. It employs millions of people. So as the entire ecosystem and all the stakeholders now are demanding greater transparency about how assets get managed. And that could be as traditional as energy efficiency, operating efficiency. But increasingly, when you talk about real estate, you cannot escape how do you get real estate financed? How do you get it invested? How do you build without having financing? So this is where the financial markets, I think, play as important a role, if not even more important than the regulators, because you follow the capital. And in that regard, our technology is used by banks, by insurance companies, by other investors, equity investors, as well as by tenants to evaluate how properties perform along the metrics of ESG. And as an earlier panel said, it's not a luxury anymore, and it's absolutely critical now that you are able to transparently demonstrate how you are performing, both as an individual asset, but also in relation to your peers. This will impact your economic value, the asset value, your rental value. And so it's absolutely critical. From our perspective, we are trying to solve that problem by making this process easier. Back to your question about the state of tech, it's still largely an analog industry, real estate. We've made huge advances, but the examples that I can give are, we are installing wireless IoT devices on emission points so that we can have an accurate calculation of the carbon footprint of individual buildings, for example. So those are the type of solutions that we work with our clients to find answers for.
And so, it really hit home with me. The previous panel, I think it was Josh who said that it's not a matter of charging more for green building. It's a matter of it's a binary, thing. It's if you have it, then you will get the tenants. If you don't, you won't. And I see it here in Japan with JLL in our office leasing advisory team, where we handle foreign firms. That if the building is not green, and then it's just doesn't make it to the list. And I know that the issues were also measuring it and kind of like demonstrating it. So this is where tech can come in handy. Absolutely. Thank you. Kate?
Yeah, to your question to the trend, so because Blueground really play in the residential real estate scene, so what we are seeing is really there's the birth of many PropTech companies now in the whole Asia Pac, responding to the need to have access to housing easier, and also responding to the change in lifestyle. So this all came about because, say, big economies like China needing to address the whole migration of workforce towards their major city. They want to change the mindset of owning houses. You need to start renting instead, so that they can address that whole migration. Or rather, in Australia, where there's really a shortage of housing, they're encouraging developers to do build to rent. And of course, all this sets the scene towards how then do you get the developed properties quite easily to the tenants. So that's where all these PropTech, the birth of the whole PropTech scenes come about. So companies like Blueground, we really think that we are quite in the forefront of it, and we use technology really to revolutionize the whole process. We enable people to come online to do virtual house viewing. You can book the apartments live instantly, and there's always the availability that's there that allows you to tweak using your own choices of flexible duration. You can choose from a period of 3 months to 6 months instead of comparing to the traditional 1 year or 2 years. So that's really the trend that we're seeing. And also because after pandemic, you can see lifestyle changes. People are going more into staycations, work while you leave, be leisure, digital nomad. That term, it's so familiar now. I think everyone knows about it. And there's country offering digital nomads visas. This is really the future trend that we are seeing. So reaching out to real estate investors that are out there who are into the residential assets, that you really need to look into how you revolutionize this renting process. Yeah, and Blueground has the technology to help that. Yeah.
I think it's fascinating because for the longest time, like forever, real estate was this rigid, kind of like bulky, big expense, large asset, and with the evolvement of like the requirements and lifestyle, there is a real need for tech to come in and fill and bridge that gap, so to speak, between what the consumers want and what the owners kind of like need, including their lenders and investors, etc. So I think it's a fascinating field and absolutely necessary. Bernie?
Yeah, thanks, Shay. Look, I think there's some interesting points here. And I think always, for me, as I said, messing about in real estate and tech for quite some time, for me, it's always been about the fact that real estate, by its nature, either, it's your place or it's an investment. And if it's investment, really that means it's something that you're seeing as a business, even if it's passive income. It's still, bricks and mortar that create a platform for making money, right? Return on investment. And at the end of the day, I think the secret to success for any technology company that wants to play in real estate is it's really around that exact issue. How do you help an investor in an asset create value and build a business or improve their business? And from that perspective, I think that's what we at Yardi focus on. And I think the question was really about what's happening across the industry. And from that perspective, the key thing is that I think the days of particularly in APAC, the days of the traditional sort of let's do a listing site are done, because they've been and gone, and the ones that are going to succeed are doing exactly that. IoT, I think, has played some good cards, and there's some really good tech out there. And we're working with our clients. We see ourselves as that that business hub for their real estate business, and connecting with a range of different point solutions that offer value for our clients at scale. I think at scale. So it's not the 2 devices in an apartment that is really about value. It's where you've got hundreds of thousands of devices and a decent sized portfolio where you're really able to leverage that investment and create serious value. That's what we're focused on. And it's also, I think one of the trends at the moment, working with some of our larger clients to integrate and connect with a lot of IoT devices, and particularly where those IoT devices bring value from an ESG perspective. So bringing that data, whether it's occupancy, energy, any type of utility, really. And then the third thing, I think what we're, as Kate's playing in is the flex space. And, I think Blueground play, and if I've got it right, very much in the sort of flex resi space, amongst other things, but really in that space. And that's, again, whether it's flex space for commercial or flex space for residential, I think there's certainly growing interest in that space and investment in tech to solve the business process problems in that space. In all of it, though, I think one of the key things that that I'm seeing and that I'm concerned about is a little bit that this term prop tech, I think, has distracted people a little. As I said, I've been playing about with real estate and technology for 40 years, and it's really about creating value, not about shiny widgets. And a lot of the stuff that's come and gone, and thankfully now with higher interest rates, we're seeing it harder for startups to get funding, and some of the shiny widgets are not getting there, which is fantastic in my view, because they shouldn't. They're a distraction. It really comes back to, still for me, the whole idea of getting data and helping clients find the data they need, use the data, and then see the data so that they can run their business better. And that, that is how value is created using tech in real estate, is to help people run better businesses. And anything that's not focused on that, I think, is always going to be short-lived. The question I always ask startup CEOs is, what are you selling to who and for how much? And there's a lot of detail in that in terms of how do you create value and who perceives the value. And I still find today that question really works to help get startups focused on what are you really here trying to do.
Yeah, a lot of great nuggets there. I want to zoom in a little bit and use this to transition to our next theme. Now that we kind of set the table on where the market is, I wanted to go back to the panel and ask them, how can tech help real estate firms, the people that are listening and honed into this panel, become more dynamic and also contribute to the bottom line. So maybe we shuffle things around. We start with Kate.
Thanks, Shane. Contributing to the bottom line, definitely that's what our business are aiming to do, and what service, kind of like a service provider like BlueGround is also aiming to help our partners with. So I think the most important thing coming from our whole suite of technology is also the dynamic pricing that we have. Instead of doing manual monitoring of prices, we have a built-in algorithm that help us to change the prices for rental, depending on the season, depending on the demand and supply, depending on the cities. It's almost like what the airlines do. You know, nowadays when you book your air tickets, you will realize that it changes so dynamically. So we are trying to use technology to have the same thing applied on residential rental. And that's what we have been successfully doing for the over 30 cities past 10 years. This, we hope, is what will bring really a to our partners. And also, we are fully integrated with different listing websites out there. So instead of you having to engage different channels separately in order to have a wider audience, once you are tapped into BlueGround technology, you are automated. You reach a wider audience when there's low demand, and you can reach out to them. So that's also another way to maximize it, the whole revenue part of it. So maybe I'll touch a little bit also on the customer satisfaction, because we also, another part of us is we have a guest app, which is fully for the guest satisfaction part. Because now in the new world, you say the younger generations, they live in the world where internet has always existed. Their hands never leave a smart device or a smartphone. So engaging customers like them, you really need to be on the side of tech, which is what we also do. And so our guests, when they check in, they download this app, and we engage them through it. They can find out all the information they have about the apartments. They can send requests for maintenance to us where we can respond instantly. And of course, then there's also selling of services through the app, which is also another way to increase revenue. Right? So I think that's how BlueGround actually plays on that part of the aspect. Yep.
It makes a lot of sense to have kind of like a tech native operator to interact with your tech native tenants instead of, kind of like trying to force it, for lack of a better word. Bernie, I want to go back to you. I mean, in your previous answer, you mentioned a little bit about, finding information and utilizing it. And I'd like to hear more about how you think the tech can assist businesses in performing their business better.
Yeah, thank you. And that, look, really good question, because I think we're really at a stage in the industry, particularly in commercial, but also very much actually in residential, is around a transformation being driven by AI. And what's really happening is the fact that AI is now been around for a very long time, but it's now at a level of maturity that is quite viable for solving a range of problems and dealing with a range of issues. But it's a very new technology. And as I talk to people in the real estate industry, there's, I would say, for many, a level of naivety around what it really means and how it's going to change things. I think it's something that people got to learn a lot about. Security for one. I mean, we've looked at the whole AI piece and have now, got our own wall-gardened AI. So, everything that goes into our AI large language model stays there. It doesn't go all over the internet. So you don't end up with, if you're just using the public available AIs, anything you put into them becomes available to everyone. So, if you ask it to reformat your financial statements, guess what? They're out there, available. So you've got to think carefully from a security perspective, but also from the perspective of understanding the nuance of language, and we've got an AI that interacts with consumers who are looking to rent apartments from our clients. And it's really important to understand the nuance of tone of language and a whole range of other things that impact on how people perceive the answers from an automated responder. So there's an awful lot to learn. But one of the key things that we've already learned is it is about the data. And it's about the fact that by automating process in your business, you're capturing data. And then you can leverage that data in an AI environment to really get value. And, I think what a lot of people are missing about AI is that fact that they think, oh, I'll get an AI and I can answer questions on a website or something. But if the back end of that doesn't go through to an automated set of processes and tools that really drive the business, it's bits and bytes spewing off the end of a cable, quite frankly. It's going nowhere. You're back to if it's people and spreadsheets behind it, then it's going to suffer the same fate it's always suffered. So that comprehensive platform model, I think, is really what people need to be thinking about, is how do I connect up all of my processes? How do I then make all of the data in those processes available to AI, leverage that AI, and drive the transformation? Because what I would say is the organizations that learn that early are the ones who are going to logarithmically grow or exponentially grow at a rate far faster than anyone else. They're the ones who are going to ultimately be successful, where they've learned how to take data and process and technical skills and leverage those on a very large scale. And some will be able to do it, some won't, and that will be a very, very big factor in success in the future. What we're doing very much is investing in bringing AI into a whole range of processes across real estate companies, embedded in the platform that we've built and continue to invest in.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite fascinating. I heard this analyst that responded to a question that how you think AI will impact firms, attractiveness or how they competitiveness in the future. And his opinion was, if everybody has it, nobody has it. Meaning to say, if everybody adopts it, the kind of like the relative advantage erodes. But in our business, where people still use calculators, I think that the people who will adopt it will have long-lasting advantages. Jack?
Yes, I'd like to, I think AI is very exciting, and there's certainly a role for AI to play. But since we're dealing with largely bricks and mortars industry, I'd like to bring it back to your earlier question about contributing to the bottom line. So how can we leverage on technology to contribute to the bottom line? On one level, there is the operational efficiency. So we in Asia historically have had high energy costs. So if you can use technology and AI to run your operations more efficiently, consuming less energy, you have a smaller carbon footprint. So you're already getting savings there, which flows to the bottom line. And then again, as I mentioned, with the trend of sustainability and ESG pervading the capital markets and the financial industry, then you can point to a smaller carbon footprint. Now, let's not forget, if you aggregate real estate and our entire supply chain, we are one of the biggest emitters of carbon in the world, right? And obviously we have to care because our stakeholders care, but we are contributing to global warming and climate change that will lead to extreme climate events, then turns around and impacts our asset value, because our models are being used by banks, like our shareholders include HSBC and JP Morgan. They are using our climate models to assess the climate risk of individual assets. So again, that's a bit far off, but we are a part of this ecosystem. We're a major part of this a major economic activity, and we're a major emitter of carbon. And so we're part of the problem, and we need to be part of the solution. Right? So on one level, we're leveraging on technology to solve operational efficiency issues. We're helping our clients to set defined targets and then to track the progress towards those targets. And the flip side of this, again, going back to the capital markets, is that your bankers, your investors, and your clients are going to demand that you be able to demonstrate how your buildings are being managed. And all the various metrics you'll have to be able to produce with a lot of granularity. And up until now, that's been a very manual process. And we're helping our clients to leveraging on technology to automate that process, so it makes it more accurate, less painful, and much more efficient. And another example I can point to of how we can help the bottom line is that we have technology on decarbonization models on an individual basis. So we have very large property owners owning huge commercial properties with tens of thousands of clients. So in their loyalty program, they're using our decarbonization engine to create incentives. So if they come to their malls, bring their own shopping bags, they get points. And then you can exchange these points for gifts. So there's another example of using technology, using the theme of ESG and sustainability to create an additional touch point with your clients, so that one, it's good for branding, and two, is it's a great engagement tool, so that you get much better engagement and much higher spend rate for individual clients. And so those are all the number of ways that we're helping both to enhance operational efficiency, but also to increase financial efficiency. So how you can lower your funding costs, get better insurance rates, as well as get better loan rates.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So there's all these multiple ways that tech can assist firms to operate better, more efficiently, on multiple ways, not just financially, but also energy efficiency, reaching out to more clients, maybe in a more appropriate ways that better fit their lifestyle, etc. But there's a common theme that came up through our conversation. It is that it's not without its challenges, and our industry is very much still a brick and mortar industry, and still kind of like, it seems, compared to other more fast moving industries, lagging behind. But this is not the only challenge. I assume there's other regulatory, etc., because we play in a very kind of like well-defined borders in our industry. So I'd like to stay with you, Jack, and understand a little bit, what do you see as some of the challenges for the industry and for your clients to implement this technology, or technology as a whole?
Yes, that's a good question. The challenges are, I think, it's the mindset. It's the mindset. Bricks and mortars. We're in a very tangible industry, and so historically, it's a salt of the earth. We've got very hardworking people building structures that house people, that allow us to live and work, and so to go from there to what Bernie described about the AI, so that's the leap that we're encountering here. And again, I think because our industry is inescapably tied to financial markets, because without finances, nothing gets built. So I think to some degree, it's the banks and the other financial institutions that are driving that. I mean, some of the buildings here in Hong Kong, the commercial building market has been soft, but if you get a procurement officer looking at space for a major global bank, Now, when they go to the landlord, they're asking all sorts of questions about, can you supply with me, your operating metrics, and we're providing the system that helps them to be able to answer these questions. And these are not, basic questions anymore. These are very complex analytical questions that you need vast amount of data to be able to prove or disprove, in some cases, what's going on, the status of how your building is being operated. So this is, it is a huge stepping stone. But the good news is, I'm seeing that, as it was said in the earlier panel, that it's binary now. So it's not a nice to have. If you don't meet these conditions, or you cannot prove that you meet these conditions, you simply will not get a lease offer from a potential tenant. And so that's lost business and lost revenue. And when times are tough like it is now, it makes all the difference in the world. So that's, I'm very optimistic as we work with clients across the industry that they're getting that message, and they really now understand why is it that they need to take this subject seriously, and to be able to demonstrate to their stakeholders that they're making progress in this regard.
So big challenge is mindset, and this has been changing, and slowly people are coming around and understanding the importance of it. Bernie, where do you see the challenges?
Yeah, look, again, very good question. I think there's a couple of key things here. We've run a set of surveys across the region, so Australia, in New Zealand, and across Asia, with real estate companies. We've been running those surveys now since about 2017. They've proven, I think, without a doubt, going back to some earlier work I did 20 odd years ago, that there's undeniably three key factors holding back any sort of movement with adopting tech in real estate. First is resistance to change, which I describe very simply as fear of the unknown. And my business works today, my job works today. Why should I change anything? And and just that human reality of none of us like change, right? We always like things to happen the same way every day. It feels comfortable. So resistance to change is a key factor. Secondly, is cost, and the fact that a lot of real estate organizations view technology as a cost instead of as an investment. So you talk to the CFOs, some CFOs in real estate are still assessing business cases on the basis of net cost rather than on ROI, rather than demanding that their business users really demonstrate, here's the ROI on this investment. I always like to say to people that are considering working with us, to say, if you were spending $100,000, $1 million, whatever, or $10 million on a piece of real estate, you'd appoint an asset manager. So as you invest in your technology, you should really figure out who in your business is the asset manager for your real estate technology investments, because you want to make sure you're getting a return on your investment. And thirdly, it's resources. And I think we saw really during the pandemic period, resistance to implementing technology was really the key factor. Was just I couldn't get the resources, skills who understood how to drive change and how to improve business. But that's I think come back to a more normal situation now. But I'd still emphasize the fact that as organizations think about investing in technology, some people come to me and say, I want you to automate our business the way it is today. And my answer is no, I just want to run away, because those people haven't got the right idea that the investment in technology is about transforming your business. And therefore, don't ask me to automate what you do today. Ask me to automate what you want to do tomorrow, because that's really where the focus should be. And that's how we help organizations create value. So I think, they're the three challenges. They're the things people need to think about. They're the things that people need to really understand. And, resistance to change, fear of the unknown is really about creating and communicating and getting people on board.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's fascinating, and you also, a lot of it is kind of like mental, kind of like state of mind. Back to the point that Jack made, that can be easily switched. I've never thought about investing in technology as an investment rather than a cost line. And it's when you just make that mental switch, things looks very different. Kate, over to you.
I think Jack and Bernie has really covered the challenges that I can think about. It's really these two key, right? It's the mindset and also the resistance to coming out of the cost to adopt technology. So of course, this same thing applies even to residential rent, because mindset, traditionally in many countries in Asia Pacific, people go through the traditional way. You engage a real estate agent, you do property viewing, you want to see the real estate, which is the brick and mortar, in physical. So this again is come back to the whole mindset challenge that BlueGround is changing. Of course, this is actually helped by the pandemic for the better, or it's because people are forced to adopt to virtual. So now we can see the acceptance coming on stronger. So we see a shift in the mindset changed for us. Then in terms of challenges for cost, I think it just takes a bit of education in that sense, because when you adopt technology, the cost will return itself quickly in a way, because when you use, say, BlueGround, we have a whole suite of on the back end, we have ERP system that helps every process of the business. You streamlined it, the onboarding process, the property managing process, the sales process. It's all streamlined, and the manpower is so much reduced. And it goes back to the operational efficiency that we talked about earlier on. So the cost itself will be answered in terms of, yes, you're investing in technology, which will bring you back your returns. I think one more point that I can think of in terms of challenges, because we might end up talking a bit too much about tech. So BlueGround is always aware that real estate, at the end of the day, it's about humans, right? At the end of the day, we need tenants to be happy when they live in the apartments. So we do also focus on building out ourselves as a lifestyle brand. We make sure that we are still relevant while the technology remains behind the scene to help everything goes smoothly. So that's one way we look at this. Maybe a challenge that is kind of on the side, that's maybe having too much technology. Yeah,
Interesting. We only have a little bit of time left, but I would hate to leave our audience with the theme of challenges. I'd like to have a quick round and just go around the panel and ask you for advice for those who are watching the panel today and want to go about and start the journey to implement tech in their organization. We start with Kate.
Oh, I think the message from BlueGround is quite simple. Reach out to us. We're happy to explore, talk to you. And that's exactly why we've came to APAC, really, with our strategic partnership models. We can do franchise management, JV, so we can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, Bernie?
I think the key issue here that people are starting to understand properly is brand. The importance of brand in real estate, the importance of the customer experience, and the fact that that's really driven by brand. And a lot of the major investors, the smart investors, are realizing that and really starting to focus on making sure that the experience of their customers is reflected in their own brand.
Okay, thank you. Jack, final words?
Yes, I am personally very optimistic about this technology adoption journey. I think Bernie very, very eloquently captured sort of the human side of things, the resistance to change. What we found with our clients is that once they're able to overcome that initial barrier and we can automate this process, it becomes a lot more efficient. And then they're really, really happy when they can see that it contributes to the bottom line. So it's not only merely a cost and investment, but it helps to build financial returns. And ultimately, it's a point of differentiation. I mean, if we take, I'm talking to you from Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is obviously a very big property sector. Property plays a very important role in Hong Kong. If you look at some of the leading developers and the second generation that are taking over now, they're very, maybe it's a generational thing, they're very aware about sustainability, about how that plays and reflects into their company's brand, and how that will attract the future generation of their clients. And so I think once you are able to overcome that initial resistance, I wouldn't say it's a smooth journey, but you know, it takes a momentum of its own, because you can then understand how doing good is not necessarily, there's not necessarily a sacrifice or a cost to it. It actually net brings a lot more positive results back to the company. So I'm very optimistic about the future, although, you know, there's still a lot of work to do.
So with that optimistic note, I'd like to wrap up the panel and thank our panelists, Kate, Jack, and Bernie. Thank you very much for your time, and thank everybody in the audience for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shai and the panelists. Wow, virtual viewing, mobile apps, AI, everything that I love, you know, is now becoming the trend. And of course, being green is going to win over the tenants. But more importantly, leveraging on the use of technology to drive operation efficiency, and also the use of data to increase return on investments is definitely key. And having come from a tech and data company myself, I must say that I agree with the panel wholeheartedly. Well, it's been a very insightful session for me this afternoon, with lots of takeaways from the macroeconomic outlook to various investment opportunities in different asset classes, office, infrastructure, and also the new economy assets, as well as the impact on the environment and sustainability, has all been very refreshing. For me, it's great to know that we can expect there's going to be continued growth in our region, and more is being done towards a more sustainable environment, as COVID has changed our lifestyle towards a high level of technology adoption and digitalization. With that, we've come to the end of our webinar, and I do hope that you have enjoyed today's presentation and panel discussions as much as I did. And we would like to thank all of you for joining us on this webinar, and many thanks to our speakers and also our webinar sponsor, Yardi. We look forward to seeing you in the next APRIA event. So this is Kim Ong from STR signing off, TGIF, and have a great weekend ahead. Bye for now.